Welcome to another edition of the OUinsider.com podcast. It is February 24th. That is a Monday, and I am joined by Colin Kennedy, OUI staff writer. Follow him on the Twitters at CK247. Colin, man, how you doing?
Oh, it's always good to talk, RJ. I'm excited, too. This week we got the Combine. I'm going to H-Town, going to eat that good barbecue. Looking forward to it, so let's talk some ball.
Okay, first of all, what's in H-Town?
It's Houston, man. We got to get that down there and get the good stuff. I mean, I'm hitting Pinkersons. I'm hitting Truth. You got to get some good stuff and make your bank account a little disappointed while you're down there.
See, this man. And that's like driving like 8 hours in one direction for you, right, Nicholas?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm going to be flooring it in the truck, and we'll probably be hitting some Buc-ee's on the way down. So that's another poor self-discipline, Joey.
Man, I love Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is magnificent. It's a carnival.
I mean, it's the promised land.
Oh, man. Like, I took my girlfriend there for the first time, like I want to say like November, December. And she's like, what is this? And I said, this is awesome. That's what this is. She said, this is country. I said, yes. And I am country. We are country. She's like, I'll wait in the car. I'm like hell. Come on. And then she got to see the brisket sandwiches and illustrious water fountains. And one of the things that I love to say about Buc-ee's is your mom would be proud to go in there and take a dump. It's just, they keep it magnificently clean. Buc-ee's, please sponsor the podcast. Just saying. We love it. Let's talk some ball. The NFL Draft Combine began in earnest today, and we have height weight measurements coming out for the quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, right around 222 pounds, 6 feet, 1 inch tall. I mean, that makes him an inch taller than Tua Tagovailoa. It's going about the way that we thought. Justin Herbert's about 240 pounds on the bigger side. Anthony Gordon on the smaller side, like 6'2", 205. I like the meat market, but I also like the meat market because I'm a nerd. How do you feel about it, Colin?
I don't really look into it too much. I guess more than anything, I was just very excited to see quote-unquote undersized CeeDee Lamb measure. And, well, basically everything indicated he was not. But I don't really put too much stock into this phase of the Combine unless it's, well, what everyone wants to wonder, like in the situation of Kyler Murray a year ago. But I think what really does it for me is when we're starting to do the on-field drills, which begins Thursday, if I remember correctly. So that's really when I'll be tuning in, and I'll have some stuff on that coming up later this week.
Right on. So CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy are basically identical in their height, weight measurements, which is interesting because they're not the same player. Judy's probably faster and a better route runner, but CeeDee Lamb is a better pass catcher. Matter of fact, the comp that I've heard the most is DeAndre Hopkins, which is not terrible company to be in because that man catches everything in his vicinity. That's pretty decent. I haven't been paying attention to the Jerry Jeudy comps. Have you?
I haven't too much. I know a lot of people feel like he's more of a slot guy. I've tried to come up with some comps off the top of my head, but I guess I haven't really nailed down something too much because of research. But, I mean, hey, you get D-Hop comparison, you're probably pretty solid. And you mentioned it. He's probably one of the best pass catchers. I think he's probably one of the best yards after the catch guys in the entire draft, wide receiver or running back for that matter in terms of yards after contact. So, and I think this is going to be interesting to see. Now my next project is to figure out who Jerry Jeudy is in the NFL.
Well, I mean, what was it? Mel Kiper called CeeDee Lamb CeeDee Yak. I'm like, yeah, okay. I can get with that.
Yep.
Especially all you got to do is bring up the Texas tape from this year and see my man basically juking 4 dudes out of their shoes and going into the end zone. That was probably his signature game and the one for which will be brought up the most. We know that Neville Gallimore is also at the Combine and quite honestly probably has the most upside of any of the 3 Sooners who were invited to the Combine and also can make the most money, right? Because nobody's actually seen him run. I mean, he was on Bruce Feldman's freak list for 2 straight years with his reported 4.7 40 at 335 pounds. If he runs 4.7, he's got to be a first-round pick. I just don't know that he's going to run 4.7.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's fighting for, right? I mean, if he's able to put some sort of strong testing number out in terms of the 40 or the bench, I mean, he's probably working his way into that first round. Would I take him in the first round right now? Probably not. But, I mean, hey, I think he's just like a perfect fit for the Seattle Seahawks, for example, especially with a need on the defensive line. So if he has a good week, I mean, yeah, we're talking about him getting in that late 30 action, which I think can be accomplished. So I'm pulling for him. I'm hoping that he can achieve all of that come this week.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. I made a mistake. Kenneth Murray is also at the NFL Scouting Combine. Yes, so 4, not 3. That's my bad. That's another dude who could absolutely vault into the first round with a great showing at the NFL draft, but like or NFL Combine, excuse me. But it's weird, right? Because we've seen guys move up way too far, and we've seen guys that didn't get invites end up having great professional careers. I mean, I don't want to make this a referendum on the Scouting Combine, but I almost think that in some ways it has outlived its need, right? Because we know so much about these guys already, and I get that the NFL does not watch college football as a rule. It watches the NFL. Mm-hmm. But the tape's out there. You basically know what you're going to get, and it's all about fit. And at that point, it's about luck. And if you're a first-round pick, you're going to get more opportunities to screw up than a guy that's undrafted. That's what it comes down to for me. But I like seeing guys run fast. I like seeing guys jump high. I like seeing guys catch footballs in their underpants. But I'm also weird, you know? I get that.
Hey, K9's going to do all that for you, right?
Well, you think, right? Because, like, if he goes 4.5, you know, if he goes 4.5, it's going to be difficult for somebody to pass on him as an athlete. Just because I think he's going to put up 20 reps on bench. I think he's going to run 4.5. I think he's going to show great lateral quickness and closing speed. And you're going to look at him just walking in the lobby and you're going to go, yeah, that's an NFL linebacker. In a linebacker draft that ain't especially deep, by the way. You know, it's like Isaiah Simmons, and then it kind of falls off a cliff when we're talking about what we expect to be Pro Bowl talent. You know, like you're talking about Zach Baum and Evan Weaver, guys that might not even get drafted until the 4th round, but had outstanding college careers and will be, I think, outstanding dudes in the NFL, but they weren't first-round picks, and this is an unusually deep wide receiver draft, and that's why we're talking about wide receivers in a way that I don't think we talked about in like 5-6 years. You know, it's interesting because you outside of Burrow, who everybody seems to agree is the best quarterback available, for me, ain't even the best player available. That's Chase Young, and I want to see what that guy runs. And it's also a weirdly deep draft for running backs. So, like, offensively, feels like you're getting what you want. I mean, Tristan Wirfs is probably the best offensive lineman available, but if you have a need at linebacker, I'm not so certain that you wouldn't trade up to go get Murray just because Simmons is going to be gone. And if he's not, that's a problem. Then again, you know, what do I know? I'm just the guy that's watching the NFL Combine.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me because I think you can make the argument that we talk about Simmons. I think Simmons is an unbelievable player. He may be one of my favorite to watch in all of the collegiate ranks, and then probably that'll carry over to the NFL. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that he's not necessarily a true inside linebacker. I mean, you can play that guy strong safety, free safety, nickel, inside, outside. But I feel like his fit is more of that versatile athlete on the perimeter where he's able to be the outside linebacker or maybe the nickel. Just kind of provides you like a star caliber player. What we're talking about here is K9's potentially going into this week fighting for the potential to be the first inside linebacker taken in the draft. Which, think about that. That's a pretty big deal, especially when this guy fought for the butt kiss all year long and got left off the list towards the end, right? I mean, that's a pretty big way for him to redeem himself is to, okay, well, I didn't get necessarily the award I wanted, but I get to be the first true inside linebacker taken in the draft and go ahead and make me some money. That's a big deal. And then when you really consider, okay, well, who would take the inside linebacker? The more and more we consider it, it looks like the Baltimore Ravens could be picking them up. That's a big deal because they need an inside linebacker. K9 is perfect for what that defense wants to do. And I mean, the guy would fit right into the locker room. I mean, there's a gajillion guys that wore the crimson and cream in there. So I think this is incredibly intriguing to me, what K9 does this week. I think more than anything, you mentioned the 40 and the bench. I'm interested to see your perspective on this. I think the bench is probably a bigger deal because we know he's fast, we know he's quick, we know he's an athlete, but how will he handle NFL interior linemen? probably going to value that a little bit in terms of the bench press. But no, when you think about it, I mean, K9's going in this week knowing darn well he's got the potential to be number one, the first inside linebacker taken, and number two, a first-round pick that could potentially go to the Baltimore Ravens, which is a pretty solid landing spot. So there's a lot on the table for Kenneth Murray in terms of the NFL Combine.
I'd agree with that. I would also add for him specifically, like we talk about the physical things that he'll need to show, and I think you're right about the bench being a big one, but what he shows on a whiteboard, because the knock on Murray, which is warranted, is that he just didn't figure it out at middle linebacker. I mean, they called him a Mike. He called himself a Mike, but he played the will, right? He was the point-and-shoot linebacker in that defense last year, and he was great in that role, and if you have a role like that in your defense, he'll fulfill it, and he's going to work. You know, that's it. He's going to do everything you ask him to do it. You're probably just going to have to ask him 8 or 9 times before he gets it right. And if you don't have that kind of patience with him, then it ain't going to work. But if you take him in the first round, you're committed to having that kind of patience with him. So I think if he can go in there and he can draw up a whiteboard and make himself look good in those meetings, absolutely. Because then you won't have Charlie Casserly coming out talking out of his butt about what Murray did or didn't do, like he did last year with another Murray. So, you know, that's where I come down on it. Need to add in there, LSU has 16 guys at this combine. 16. What?
Yeah, you thought that you'd think they won the national championship or something.
Golly, man. Like Patrick Queen, Kavlon Chasen. I mean, we keep Grant Delpit. We keep going down the list. Christian Fulton probably going to run fast. So, like, when people ask me, you know, what's it going to take for Oklahoma? It's like when you can look at the NFL Combine and you see 16-year dudes, you know you're back. Okay? You know you did everything that you could do right. And Oklahoma's still looking for its first-round defensive player drafted since, what, Gerald McCoy in 2009?
Correct.
Yeah. Goodness. So, a lot on Kenneth Murray's shoulders.